In today's so-called advanced world, science has become the de facto standard to verify anything, or to get the authenticity. We always verify it against the science. But at the same time, we fail to realize that science, ultimately, what is science? Who is science? Science are these people who are scientists, who conclude this experiment, who do certain things. So ultimately, the bottom line is these are human beings who do this. So as soon as this word human comes into picture, we should realize that there is a limit to it, because human beings, whatever faculties they have, whatever power or attributes they have, everything has got a limit. That's the first thing. Second thing is, humans are prone to mistake. So we should always keep this in mind. No matter what we are dealing with, even if we are dealing with science, science is ultimately boiling down to human beings. Scientific community thinks that for anything to exist, it should be verifiable with one of our senses. As we all know, we have 5 senses, right? So science says that if you say something exists, it should be verified by those senses. So you should be either able to see it, or you should be able to hear it, or you should be able to smell it, or you should be able to touch it, or you should be able to taste it, right? If you are not, then as per science, maybe that thing doesn't exist. So there was a college gate at which some students were celebrating their trophy. So the professor passed by and he asked, "Hey, what's up? What is this?" So they said that we just won this trophy and we are happy about it. They said, "Wow." So professor says, "Good job." He said, "Yeah, we put a lot of efforts and with God blessing, we won this trophy." So as soon as they say with God blessing, the prophet was like, "What? Who's God?" They said, "Our God." So he said, "Where is your God?" And they said, "It's up in the heavens." So the professor said, "Do you see him?" They said, "No." He said, "Have you ever touched him?" The students were perplexed. They said, "No." "Well, then your God doesn't exist." The students were taken aback. "Oh, God doesn't exist?" So one of the students asked to the professor, "Professor, how can you be so sure that there is no God? God does not exist." He said, "I am a professor. I use common sense." So the student asked, "And where is your common sense?" He said, "Up here." So the student asked, "Have you ever seen the common sense?" He said, "No." "Can you touch it?" And he said, "No." So the student said, "Then you don't have common sense." You see that, where it goes? So this is how it boils down to. I'm a student of science and I believe most of the things as long as they don't clash with the basic beliefs that we possess. But that does not mean we should follow it blindly. There have been many instances where scientists have gone back on their statement or have been proven false, or science has taken a U-turn. For example, look at this Simon Newcomb. He was an astronomer in 1888. He said that we have reached the limit of astronomy knowledge. So no more new knowledge. This is the dead end of astronomy. He said this in 1888, and after that we have discovered a new planet, Pluto. We have discovered new galaxies. We have went on to the moon, and we have established an International Space Center. When he said that in 1888, this another guy named W.C. Hooper. He is from the National Cancer Institute. He said that the theory that smoking causes lung cancer, this is just a minor thing. You don't need to take it seriously. It's not something that you need to be concerned about. While we know that 80% of the women and 90% of the men who have lung cancer, this is because of the smoking. From 2005 to 2010, more than 130,000 people have died in the United States alone because of this lung cancer. Lord Kelvin, the president of the Royal Society in 1883, he said that when the X-ray was discovered, he said that this whole thing called X-ray, this is hoax. This is nothing. It's nothing. And within 10 years, he himself underwent a X-ray to figure out the problem in his hand. So this is the statement of the Lord Kelvin, who was president of the Royal Society. Then there is William Stewart, who was the Surgeon General of United States. And in 1969, he said that we can close the books on the infectious disease. Why? Because now the infectious disease have been taken care of. We have these good vaccinations, and our technology has developed so much that we will not be encountering any more infectious disease. And here we are in 2020 with one of the biggest pandemic that we are facing. This is what they said. Darwin, yeah, the father of evolution, the evolution theory, he didn't know anything about genetics, which is the basics of natural selection, if you say that, but he didn't know anything about genetics. So these are the things that have happened in the scientific field just recently. Not only this, there have been scientists who have cheated their community, like this Harvard researcher John Darcy in 1981. It was found out that he was working on the data related to heart, and most of the time he was faking the data. The National Institute of Health figured out that whatever 100 publications he has published, they were all fabricated. There was the other guy who was cardiac radiology, Robert Slutsky. It was found out that he used to submit a research paper every 10 days. The community was astonished that how could he submit a research paper every 10 days. Then they realized that he was also playing with the data, lying about the methods he used. He used to alter the data and all kinds. So these things also happen in scientific community. Take the classic example of Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. He was the first one to lay down the principles of laws of gravity. Right? He even wrote the book Mathematical Principle of Natural Philosophy. And in the 1600s, 17th century, he enumerated all those laws regarding gravity. His laws were obeyed and followed for almost 3 centuries. No one challenged him until Albert Einstein came into picture. So for 300 years, Newton's law were used and followed. And then Einstein comes and he proves that there is a flaw in this. So he presents his own theory called theory of relativity, which fixes the issues in the Newton's laws, right? And now his theory is being used. Now it's almost 100 years he proposed this theory of relativity. After 100 years, even though they are still using it, and it's so far it is true, but there is a team of scientists in the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where they are about to claim that, okay, so far it is good, but when they are testing this theory of relativity of Albert Einstein with the black holes, there it seems to be vulnerable. It seems that this might not work there. So this is yet to be properly tested, but they think that the theory of relativity is good as far as on the boundaries of the black hole, but once you go inside the black hole, this theory might also fail. Right? So even a person like Einstein, yes, he also said once that this nuclear reactor thing you won't be able to establish, because getting the nuclear energy means breaking the atom at your own will, which is not possible. Within 10 years of his claim, the first nuclear reactor was built. So even a person like Einstein, he can also make a mistake. Even his other statement where the thermodynamics law says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. I don't fully agree with this. I think this statement needs a little bit of modification, even though the modification is minor, but the impact is very major. Instead of saying that neither the energy can be created nor destroyed, it should be said that energy cannot be created nor destroyed by the creation. That would be more appropriate than just saying that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. See, science thinks everything or consider everything as energy. For science, everything is energy, even including the human body. So when somebody dies, he just decomposes and the energy is released into the universe. So in a way, what science is telling is that that person, even though he has died, is still around you, just in a scattered position. Science can give you information about what and about how, but it cannot tell you why. See, if there is a gadget, if somebody makes a new gadget, it's an electronic device with some parts, components moving here and there. It's nobody has seen that device before this, and if you show this to a scientist, he can tell you everything about that device, about what it is made, what are the components, what is its constituent, what is the chemical, what is the physical, everything he can tell you. He can tell you all the thing about that, but he will never be able to tell you why that thing was made. He cannot. For that, you will have to ask the person who made it. Similarly, about the universe also, science can tell you about how the universe came into existence, when the universe came into existence, what was all happening, everything. But it cannot tell you why was the universe created. It cannot even tell you what was there before Big Bang. It starts its story from the Big Bang as if there was nothing before the Big Bang. It cannot go beyond it. It starts a story right from the Big Bang. It cannot tell you anything. Same thing about our body. Our body also, it can tell you all the constituent, what we are made up of, how heart works, how lung works, everything, how we take oxygen, how everything they can tell you. Science can tell you everything, but it cannot tell you why was I made, why was I created. That question cannot be asked to the science. It is not the good source. It is not something that can provide you an authentic answer for it, because the way science works is totally different. In the science of reasoning, there are multiple types of reasoning, and on the way science works is on a reasoning called as inductive reasoning. This is what science uses for all its hypotheses and theories. What is inductive reasoning is, it observes something, science observes something, and then goes on searching for the results or doing experiments and then coming to conclusion. And all those things are based on observation. Science can only give you conclusions, or they can say something which is probable. They cannot give you 100% assurance result. That's why most of the things that science proposes, they are called as theories. They are not facts. They will remain theory. They might be true, but they can be proven false. Somebody tomorrow, same like Newton and Einstein. Newton's law was considered as something written on the stone, but then Einstein comes and then wipes it off. And now Einstein's theory itself can be rewritten. So this is how science works. Science works on inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is, you start from a specific thing and make it more generalized. You make it more generalized and then you give a result. It is just a probable result. It is just based on the experiment that you have concluded. That experiment might not be comprehensive. It might not have included everything. They might have not thought of everything. There is open-ended. So that's why they only propose this, and it works till somebody proves them wrong. So they cannot give you something which is, so science also cannot prove something that does not exist. It cannot prove that this does not exist. It cannot. It can only work on things that are there. It can provide you data. It can enhance your knowledge. It can provide you new openings, new understandings. That's the advantage of inductive reasoning. But the problem is, it cannot give you 100% absolute answer. Okay, then, so can we use science to prove existence of God? Well, if you try to use science, as I said, it uses inductive reasoning, and inductive reasoning is not a good technique. So to proceed for this, there are other techniques that you can use to prove that God exists, or something like this. Like one of the other opposite technique of inductive reasoning is deductive reasoning. Now, what is deductive reasoning? Deductive reasoning, as I said, is exactly opposite of inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning starts from the specific things and makes it more generalized. Deductive reasoning starts from the generalized things and makes it more specific. So it is more closer or more specific, more to the point. Like for example, let's say take example that you are out of your house, and when you come back to your house, you find that your dog has been killed. Your dog has been killed. Now, you call up two people, one scientist and other a detective. And if you ask them to find out who was the killer, this is how they might operate. The scientist might first ask you, did you see the killer? You might say, no. Did you hear him? No. Did you touch him? Absolutely not. Did you taste him? So he will ask you all these questions because, as I said, science believes on these senses. And when you answer all of his questions as no, he will tell you, no one came here, no one killed your dog. That's what science tells. Now the other person who is a detective, he might have his different result. He will tell you that, sir, I think the guy or whoever came in and killed your dog, he came in from the back door. How do you know that? Because your front door lock is still intact, nothing is broken, but the back door, the latch has been broken because it was pushed from outside, so it has been broken. When he came inside, it looks like he also drank a glass of water, because I find his fingerprints on the handle of the fridge and on the glass. And I also see that your dog has bitten him before he died. How do you know that? Because I found some hairs, his hair in his mouth. And your dog was killed like 4 hours or during this time. How do you know that? Because from the forensic report or from the post-mortem of the dog, he realized that. So he will give you this answer. This is deductive reasoning. So when you use deductive reasoning, this is what you conclude. You conclude a more truthful result. You come to a more confirmed result when you use deductive reasoning instead of inductive reasoning. This is what we do when we are talking about things like proving God. Is God exist or not? Apart from deductive reasoning, we also have something called as authentic or reliable narrations, which you rely on. Like we all do this. We don't realize, but we all do this. When we were in school, right, we relied all on all that data, on all the narrations that were given to us. Whatever is in the book, we believed it, right? They said that light travels with a speed of 3 lakhs kilometers per second. And we said yes. Now, did anybody test at that time? No, nobody tested, but we believe it because it is coming from a source that you can believe unless they prove themselves wrong. You see, there is a place called Singapore. Do you believe it? Yes, you believe it. Now, whoever says he believes it, has he ever gone to Singapore? No, most probably he has not. But does he believe it? He believes it. Also, another example of that we believe the words of people is that when we grow up, we know that this lady is our mother. Now, how do you know it? Who told you she is your mother? That she herself told us when we were small that I am your mother, and from that time on we believe that she is the mother. But did you ever verify it? No, we didn't verify it. We just went by her words that she is our mother, she is our mother. But some smart fellow might say that, okay, today science has advanced so much, I can verify it with DNA test. Yes, you can, but how many people have verified? The person who asked, has he himself verified it? No, nobody has verified it. We just go by the word. This is also another way of verifying the truth. That's also another approach that we use to figure out the truth, that authentic narration. This is the science of hadith that we use. In science of hadith, this is what we do. We verify the content, and not only content, we verify the narrator, the isnad as well as the matan. We verify both, and if they are at the level that we want it, then we accept that report. So this is also the second way of proving of authentic things, where the inductive reasoning fails. Another example of deductive reasoning would be mathematics. If x is equal to 5, y is equal to 2. So how much is 3x minus y? So it will be 3 into 5 minus 2. Answer would be 30. This is also deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning will give you for sure a confirmed answer. It is not guess. It is not something being proposed. It is for sure a confirmed answer. This is the difference between deductive reasoning. In deductive reasoning, you might not get new knowledge. You're just using what is there. You might not get something to learn as you get in inductive, but in deductive, you get the confirmed answer. So the psychologists say that belief in God is usually formed by two ways. One is the intuitive beliefs, which come from the experience, and the other is the conscious beliefs that come from the thought. So these are the two sources, and of course in Islam we have these two sources which are called as Quran and Sunnah, through which we establish our belief in the God. So the case of God's existence in the Quran and Sunnah involves both of these beliefs, the heart-based, which is intuition, and the mind-based, which is the rational. So it involves both the beliefs. The knowledge of God primarily resides in the heart, but then it is reinforced by the reason, by the logic. It is reinforced. We don't use only logic. it is heart based, and then it's reinforced by the logic. This is where the fitra comes in. Every human being is created on fitra, on the innate nature. See, God created all of us in our soul form, and then he asked, as Quran says in chapter number 7, 172, alastu bi rabbikum, am I not your Lord? And then we all the humanity, right from Adam till the day of judgment, how many are going to be born and died? They all said that qalu bala shahidna, yes, we all witness, we say that you are our Lord. We all have said this, so that in the day of judgment we don't deny that we didn't knew who was our God. Everyone is born on fitra, everyone is born on his innate nature. If a guy is right from his birth, if he is put in a jungle and he is not exposed to anybody, and if he is brought up, he might not worship exactly as he is supposed to worship, but he will believe in one God. He will believe in God. He will definitely will not be atheist. He will not be agnostic, but he will be a believer. He will know that he has a creator. He might not know exactly who he is, what are his attributes and properties, but definitely he will know that there is a creator, because everybody is born on this innate nature. But when the child is growing up, his surrounding, his parents, his friends, his environment, it has an effect on him, and he grows and molds into the surrounding as the surrounding is, and then he becomes one of those. But otherwise he is born on the fitra, on the innate nature, where he knows that there is a creator. And to know the creator, you don't have to go far away. No, don't have to go. You just look at yourself. Just look at our body, how it is made, how it works. It is such a complex structure. The other day I was listening to a lecture on the guy who was a neuroscientist on the brain. He said that this is a small part, and still there is so much to study. He's been studying from last 20-30 years, just a small fraction of the brain, and this is the whole brain yet to be exploited. So there is so much to it we still don't know. So just look at this body. How can this body come into existence, this complex body where it's working so meticulously? Look at the bike or the car, how it works. It is much more complex than that. So how can someone say that there is no God or God does not exist when we have this complex machine right in front of us? How it can come on its own? Right? When there is a design, there has to be a designer. How can a design come without a designer? It's just ridiculous. It's just impossible to think, to have even a rational mind think like that we have just come out by a chance. It is just not possible, right? If you have a one marble of red color, if you put in a pocket and if you take it out, yeah, there's a 100% chance you might take out the red marble. But the moment you have two marbles, red and black, now it's 50%. You put 3, now it is 33%. So the more you put, the chances are less and less that you will be able to pick out the red marble. Now imagine that out of all those permutations and combinations, how can this body, how can the sky, the heavens and everything? They say that if the sun was just a little bit close, we would have all burnt. And if the sun was little bit far, we would have all frozen. And the earth, if it was not tilted, the weather would be such that it would have destroyed, no food would be there, no crops would come. So everything is perfectly designed for human being to exist, and this happened automatically without any control, without anybody shaping it, formulating. Is that what happened? So nowhere life is possible as it is on the other planets, and earth is completely suitable to spend a life. Is that a chance? Doesn't look like. Right? So definitely there is a God, but science is not the tool to look for it. I hope that helps. I just wanted to give a relation between this science and but some people use science to prove that the God is there or God is not there. This is not the right tool to use it. May Allah give us the right guidance and the right understanding to know Him and His creation.